Last month, I found myself in a courtroom filled with quiet tension, the kind that weighs heavy on your chest. The hearing was to decide whether Anthony Sheehy, the man who killed my brother Shannon in a drunk driving accident, would serve the remaining 4 years of his sentence or walk free. It was a moment I never thought I'd face, but one that demanded every ounce of strength I had. As I stood before the parole board, I was given the opportunity to share my thoughts, a chance to speak for Shannon, for my family, and for justice. In this video, I share the letter I read in court that day, hoping to convey not just my grief, but my plea for accountability and the possibility of redemption. Your Honor, members of the parole board, thank you for allowing me to speak today. I am here to honor the memory of my brother Shannon, whose life was stolen at the age of 46 by a choice that should never have been made. Shannon was not just my brother. He was a man full of life and love whose story was cut short. When Shannon died, it wasn't just his life that ended. It was the future we all imagined with him. My family will never again hear his laughter fill a room. We will never again share holidays or milestones. There will be no more phone calls to ask for advice or quiet moments of simply enjoying his presence. Shannon will never grow old. His children, his loved ones, and I, we are all serving a life sentence without him. We will never move on from this loss. We carry it every day. But for me, the loss of Shannon came during a time when my heart was already broken. Just 5 months earlier, I lost my wife. We had just celebrated her being cancer-free by taking a trip to Disney World. It was meant to be a joyful, lasting memory, a declaration that we had come through the storm. But one day while driving, my wife Michelle pulled over and passed out. My 6-year-old daughter was with her, sitting on her lap, trying desperately to wake her up. My wife died that day. My daughter was left with an image no child should ever have to carry. A few months later, I was trying to create new memories for Faith, given Michelle's passing. We planned to return to Disney World to relive that last happy trip together. But on Friday, 3 days before we were to leave, I received the devastating news that Shannon had been killed. Instead of taking Faith back to the place of joy we both needed, I spent that Monday preaching my brother's funeral. After the funeral, we left for Disney as planned, but we carried with us an impossible burden, a weight of grief that was inescapable. Every moment, every ride, every attempt at joy was shadowed by what we'd lost. I was trying to give my daughter a happy memory to hold on to, but inside we were both broken, trying to enjoy Disney World while mourning my brother's death. The contrast was unbearable. Shannon's death was not just tragic, it was devastating. A choice made that night, a choice to drink and get behind the wheel, tore through our family and shattered the life we were trying to rebuild. The man responsible for Shannon's death, Anthony Sheehy, made that choice. And choices have consequences. Initially, the court sentenced him to 22 years, reflecting the gravity of his actions. However, A plea deal reduced that sentence to 12 years. That reduction was mercy. Today, the question before you is whether even those 12 years will be cut short. Your Honor, this tragedy hits closer to home for me than anyone in this room might realize. Decades ago, when I was 20 years old, I stood in a courtroom like this one, Vigo County Court, after totaling 2 parked cars and leaving the accident scene. I could have very easily killed someone that night, someone like Shannon. My actions were reckless, and I was fortunate that no life was lost. 6 months later, I had a religious conversion that changed the trajectory of my life. But let me be clear, a single moment of conversion is not enough to undo a life of reckless choices. Real change takes time, accountability, and deeply personal work. I had to confront my brokenness, take responsibility for my actions, and allow God to transform me from the inside out. It was not easy, but God's grace carried me forward. Since that day, I have seen God bless my life in ways I could never have imagined. For 23 years, I had a fruitful and loving marriage until my wife passed away. Today, I have a wonderful 15-year-old daughter who is the light of my life. I have been able to rebuild and redeem my past mistakes, becoming not just a man of faith, but a man of action. I have written 3 books, earned 6 academic degrees, and spoken at institutions like Oxford University and Imperial College London. I have become a successful academic, published in peer-reviewed journals, and have served as a minister and a productive member of society. I say this not to boast, but to testify to what is possible when someone fully submits to the work of transformation. My life is a testimony to the power of accountability, the grace of God, and the lifelong process of change. I want that same transformation for Anthony Sheehy, but I believe it cannot happen if his sentence is cut short. Tim Keller teaches that forgiveness is not excusing what has been done. True forgiveness requires bearing the cost of someone's actions and entrusting ultimate justice to God. I have forgiven Anthony not because he asked for it or deserved it, but because I refuse to let bitterness rule my heart. But forgiveness does not cancel justice. They can and must coexist. Justice is about accountability and creating the space for true rehabilitation. Real change cannot be rushed. If Anthony walks free today, he will lose the time he needs to wrestle with the full weight of his choices. And if he does not confront that brokenness, I fear he will walk out of prison unchanged, unprepared to return to his family or contribute meaningfully to society. Anthony, if you are listening, I want you to hear this. I don't want this to end your story. God can redeem anyone. He redeemed me. My hope is that you will use these next 4 years to allow God to change you, to face the pain you have caused, and to become the man your wife, your children, and this world need you to be. I will walk alongside you if you are willing. I will meet with you, pray with you, and offer you the same hope that changed my life, a hope that comes through Jesus Christ. I tell the board that my family has already paid the highest price. Shannon is gone. We cannot bring him back, but we can honor his life by ensuring that justice is carried out. The balance of incarceration, punishment, and rehabilitation must not be short-circuited. 4 more years in prison is not about cruelty. It is about creating the opportunity for Anthony to face what he has done, do the hard work of change, and emerge a better man. Your Honor, members of the board, I ask you to deny parole today. I ask you to uphold justice, not just for my brother Shannon, but also for Anthony and for the society we all share. Thank you for your time.